Salut à tous, bienvenue sur la chaîne YouTube L'Oceanie pour le zéro. Déjà merci à tous d'être fidèles sur ma chaîne YouTube, ça fait vraiment plaisir. Aujourd'hui je suis au Koala Sanctuary, l'hôpital des koalas à Port Macquarie, à 300 km de Sydney. Voilà déjà 16 jours que le road trip a commencé, j'espère que mes vidéos vous plaisent. Allez, c'est parti pour une petite visite guidée. Donc le sanctuaire récupère les koalas qui sont blessés. Il y a malheureusement beaucoup d'incendies, des accidents de voiture et aussi essentiellement donc, des infections aux yeux pour les koalas et des tumeurs cancéreuses. On peut donner bien sûr les dons. Donc le sanctuaire est bien sûr gratuit. La visite continue les amis. Et là j'apprends un truc assez incroyable, que les aborigènes en fait se nourrissent essentiellement de koalas. Donc c'est assez étonnant. Et ça a un impact énorme sur la population des koalas. Et voilà le petit koala qui dort, ça ne change pas ses journées. Et il passe quasiment 20 heures par jour à dormir et se nourrir d'eucalyptus. Je pense que je ne vous l'apprends pas. Regardez comme il est.
Hospital dedicated solely to the rehabilitation and release where possible of koalas back into the wild. We were founded in 1973 by a local couple called Jean and Max Starr, local shopkeepers and animal lovers, who were constantly distressed by the sight of dead and injured koalas around the Port Macquarie area. Nobody seemed to be doing much about it, and Jean certainly knew nothing about koalas, but she started to do a lot of research and make a lot of phone calls, and there was no Google back in those days, but she did start to take koalas into her home and rehabilitate them. Friends and family would ring Jean and say, I found an injured koala, will you take it in? And Jean always did. Now Jean and Max had a rather large property, but they looked around one day and they realised that there were koalas absolutely everywhere, in the garage, in the backyard, all over the trees, and they realised that a more formal process needed to be put in place. So they founded the Koala Preservation Society. They approached Parks and Wildlife, who offered them this land for what's called a peppercorn rent. They rallied friends, family and the local community, and they got a lot of support from the local Apex Club, and they raised the funds to build a much smaller version of the hospital that stands here today. Now back in $19 a year to run this hospital, and we received no state or federal funding. The only concession we receive is the low rent we pay on this property. We rely solely on the generosity of animal lovers such as yourselves, who come to the hospital, who put your coins into the little donation boxes all around the hospital, and no donation is too small. When you purchase items in our kiosk, and when you participate in our Adopt a Koala program, doesn't mean you can take a koala into your backyard, but it means that you sponsor one of our beautiful koalas for a year, which are our elderly citizens. The sex of the koala, the date of admission. Some of our koalas have been here for quite a while, as you can see. The problem the koala is experiencing, the cause of the problem if we know it, and the treatment that that koala is receiving. Now, as far as the name is concerned, a koala lives in its home range for life. If it can possibly stay in its home range, it will stay there for life. It's essential that when we return a koala to the wild, that we return it to its home range. It would be like taking you out of hospital and popping you into a stranger's house. You would want to get back home. It's the same for our koalas. If we did that to a koala, it would try and get back to its home range, putting itself in danger all over again. So the first part of the name just reminds us of where we call out from somebody who rang us and said, there's a wombat up my tree, which was funny on two counts. A, we're a koala hospital, B, wombats don't climb trees, so we thought we'd better go out and check this out. We did indeed find it was a koala up the tree, and it's actually ill. Do you think? Oh, look at this. So dear wombat, if he's going to turn around for us. He's very cute. It's worth him turning around. There we go. Oh, good boy. He's a cutie. Now, this is a sexually transmitted disease. It's caused by all sorts of reasons, primarily stress due to their loss of habitat. It causes two problems in the koalas. It can affect their urogenital tract, causing kidney problems, and that wet bottom syndrome you've probably heard about. If you actually look up into a tree and you see a koala with a very orangey, wet, stained bottom, that's a life-threatening disease, please call us. Otherwise, it can affect them by way of conjunctivitis. Now, dear old wombat here has had bilateral conjunctivitis in both eyes, and he's actually now blind. So it was lucky that that person did call us to get this wombat indeed. The koala population in Australia runs from northern Queensland all the way down through Queensland, through New South Wales, into Victoria and a bit into South Australia. Now, the koalas down in Victoria are our biggest koalas. It's because of the climate down there. They've got icy Antarctic winds coming off the southern oceans, and they need a lot more fat and fur on their bodies to survive. Koalas in New South Wales are mid-range, are about 10 or 12 kilos. Because we do have beautiful summers here and lovely temperate climate, but we can get cold winters. The little koalas up in Queensland can be as small as 5 kilos. They're tiny. It's a beautiful tropical climate up there, and they don't need a lot of fat and fur on their bodies. Now, Xavier is enormous for a New South Wales koala. He's from a place called Barrington Tops, which is west of here, which can be very cold indeed. 2 days after they removed her leg, because she was a supreme climber, she was straight up the tree, and we thought, oh, she's going to be perfectly fine. Now, she loves to get up to the highest, skinniest branch she can find, despite only having one hind leg. That's a tree in her yard that goes like that. She goes right to the very end of the skinniest branch. She was up there one night, swaying in the breeze on a windy, dark night, and the branch came down, bringing her with it. She damaged her eye, which we couldn't save either, so we had to remove her eye. So she's our one-legged, one-eyed koala.
Et voilà les amis, merci à tous d'avoir suivi mes vidéos, ça fait vraiment plaisir. N'hésitez pas à vous abonner en cliquant juste ici. Et moi je vous donne rendez-vous au nord de Port Macquarie. Prochaine vidéo, vous verrez bien, l'aventure continue. Allez, merci de me suivre et à bientôt, salut.